All right, so today we're getting into launch myth number 4, I think it is now. We're talking about how to follow a launch formula and what it feels like sometimes, which is I have to follow it to a T to see results, which is not true. So that's what we're going to be debunking today. That's what we're going to be talking about and going over in this live is especially this live is specifically geared towards, and this is literally what my students have said to me before, peers who have launched, right? This is a conversation that we have consistently and it comes up a lot when people think about launching. It's like, I have all these rules to follow in a launch. I have this formula that I need to follow during a launch. And if in order for my launch to be successful, in order for this to go the way that I desire, I have to be this really rigid, robotic, right? Follow this formula in a very, this very formulaic 50-step type, rule book in order for me to see results during a launch in my business. Now, I want to talk about why that's not true and all of the reasons why it's not true, and how to show up in your own way during your launch. And also, once I break this down for you, it will make so much more sense for it to be a very custom aligned process versus actually following somebody else's plan or somebody else's formula to launch your offer, to launch your service, right? The biggest philosophy here, the biggest thing that I want everyone to take away from this live, this replay, is that you get to trust your own magic, your own wisdom, your own desires, your own vision for this program. So often we go into business, especially as spirit-led, heart-centered entrepreneurs and leaders. We have this vision. We are a visionary, right? We have this big dream. We're dreamers, right? We have these things that are coming to us. We feel into them. We feel into this offer. We feel into the service. We're like, oh, I feel that the container should be like this, and this is the energy, and this is what I'm holding, and this is what I want for people, right? And then we go into learning about, businesses and CRMs and funnels and sales calls and how things are supposed to be done, and that you need KPIs and you need this and you need that and you need trackers and spreadsheets, and you need to find like hosting softwares, and now you've got to send 2 emails a day. And then it's like it's like traditional business really knows how to take the fucking fun out of everything sometimes. And I'm very, very proud to say that I've built a 7-figure business without running ads. I've run them like a couple times here and there, but I do not run them consistently. I do not have any funnels running currently right now. I don't think I've ever had one other than like a really simple, like, put your email in and then this is what you get, right? Like, I haven't had anything complicated, anything crazy, anything that I wouldn't be able to do on my own. I've been very, very simple and lean and clean with my business over the years. And honestly, I always really wanted a business that felt very simple. I wanted to be able to show up in my business in a way that felt very simple, in a way that is aligned to my energy. And if it's something that is, extremely complicated, if it's something that's stressing me out, I mean, it is just going to create more overwhelm. And then what happens when we're in overwhelm, we're not in that energy of like lit up, grounded. Now we're worrying about, oh, well, now my launch needs to do that. Now I have to figure out how to, send emails through this new platform and then create all these different funnels and multi-steps and like all these little things. It's like, it doesn't need to look like that. It doesn't need to be like that, right? It can be so much simpler. And it can be so much more fun and exciting and gamified. And obviously, as your business grows, like, you'll be able to delegate a lot more things to a team, right? So you won't have to be able to be the one who's doing the graphics and writing the copy and showing up and teaching the masterclass and doing all the things, right? Like, you want to focus in on what is your zone of genius. Like, what are you a visionary for? What are the things that really naturally light you up and that are naturally exciting and magnetic for you, right? Like, no one's going to teach my masterclasses for me and my launch events for me. Those are always going to be me, right? Those are always always going to be taught live by me, but other things that we can do in the back end, if I'm having someone help me with graphics, right? Like I'm outsourcing that to someone else. If someone is helping me write, not like marketing emails, but if it's like a reminder email or something else, I can outsource that, right? So as your business expands and grows, it doesn't need to be all on you, which is so impactful, right? It's such a beautiful way of showing up in your business, knowing that like you can outsource these things. You can show up in a way where, and you can even think in that way as you're doing your first several launches, right? Even before you have a team, you can start thinking and showing up in that way. How would you hold yourself accountable as a leader when you show up knowing that you are in this position of, this is the first of many launches. One day I'm going to have a team that supports a lot of this work, right? I'm showing up for this launch as well as I'm showing up for my 100th launch and my 50th launch. Because again, which I've said in every single live stream so far, this is a long game, all right? This is a long game strategy. This is a long game play. So that means that you're not just hoping and gunning for one great launch in your business. You're not just hoping that that next launch that you do in September or October was really great and that's it, right? That's not what we're here to do. We're here to create sustainability and launches that we can launch over and over, and different services and offers that we launch throughout the history, the lifetime of our business. It's just like learning sales. You don't learn sales so you can have one great sale, like great, amazing, yay, yippee, right? But like, that's not what creates a business. A business is built on and survives off of sustainable, consistent, recurring and new sales. So it's not enough to just have one really great sale, right? The sales are the oxygen of the business, right? And without sales, I mean, there is no business, right? So sales, recurring revenue, monthly recurring revenue, stacking monthly recurring revenue. Like if I don't launch or do anything, I'm making 15 to 20K a month. Right? And so even if I decide like I can just go and fuck off and do whatever I want the entire month, I still have that amount of money that's coming in to my business. And I've spent, 4 years from 2020, right, building and creating that. I've also had like big cash months and smaller cash months. I've had like, dips in my income. I've had all different types of seasons with my business. And I'm very, very proud of what I've created right now in my business in terms of that recurring revenue. Right? Like that's something that has been so impactful for me, for my team, right? To be able to have the money that is just coming in every single month from payment plans, from all of the ways that my students are committed to multiple containers. Right now I have 2 main containers, right? But depending on how many services you have, like that is what gets to come through. Thank you. Yeah, I love that. I love that piece of artwork. I got it in a little like, I don't know what you would call it, like kind of like a maker's market, like artists, designers, and like crafts. I saw it and I was like, oh my God, I need that. I need that in my life right now. Okay, so I also want to talk about, because the myth, right? The myth is I have to follow this perfect launch formula to a T, right? In order to see results, I have to follow this perfect launch plan, right? And so I'm going to pin that here as well. And that's not true in so many different ways, right? Because one launch formula that worked really well for one person may not work for another person. So here are the things that we need to take into account, all right? We have to take into account your schedule and your lifestyle. We have to take into account your offer. Like what exactly is it that you're offering? Is it a lower ticket offer or a higher ticket offer? All right. You also want to make sure, or low, mid, high, right? You could have all ranges. You want to take into account your product suite, right? We're not just launching things for the sake of launching things, right? We're launching things because they're a part of a bigger umbrella, right? It's not just like, oh, this feels fun, I'll do that. Oh, that feels fun, I'll launch that. Oh, I should do a 6-month program. Let me launch that. It's like, it's not scattered, right? When you are a very intentional entrepreneur, your offers, you have some signature base offers, and then you might have a couple of mini offers. Like, I love doing low ticket masterminds, events, challenges, $22, $33, maybe $50, right? I like to keep them in the very low range for people to be like, okay, I've been following Tiffany for a while. I feel like I resonate with her work. I want to learn more, right? Maybe I want to join Magic Mind, right? Maybe I want to join her world in some way. So having a low entry offer like a 22, 33, 55, sometimes I'll go up to like 100, right? Depending on what it is and how I'm feeling into it. But that's a really easy entry for someone who's like, I think I'd like to invest high ticket, but let me look at this thing first, right? So that gives them an in. And then off the back of that, I always lead people in to my higher ticket signature programs, right? And so having people jump in that way is really crucial, and I think is a really great way. So you've got those signature base offers, you always have them. This might be your mid-ticket course, and it might be your higher ticket mastermind. So let's just say that's 2. Okay, so those are the 2 things that you have. Now, you are gonna launch maybe once a month, maybe every other month. You're gonna have these smaller offers that are going to lead into these signature. Now, these don't change. These signatures offers, they don't change. They're a part of your product suite. Okay. And if you only have one, don't worry about building multiple at the same time. They come as you grow. They evolve as you evolve. Your product suite is not something that you're meant to just create overnight. Okay. Please don't do that. You will overwhelm yourself. So if you're just doing one-on-ones right now and you're like, I don't know about my product suite, I'm still figuring out who I want to coach and what I want to coach on, then let it come to you. It's going to feel so much more solidified when you're like, that's the thing. I'm creating my signature process. Now I've tested it with my one-on-one clients, and then now I'm going to build this course. That's what I did with Business Activation Academy, which has been my signature program up until now since 2021. I taught this process to my one-on-one clients and then my group coaching clients, and they were getting amazing results. They were making money. They were signing clients. They were building out new offers. They were building out their own product suites. And I was like, okay, this has to be a course. So that was the birth of Business Activation Academy. I didn't just create it out of the blue. This was my signature process, and then it became my signature course. And then over time, I was like, okay, people are kind of graduating from the BAA level. Let me see how I can create something that's a next step for them. And then that's how Magic Mind, the mastermind, was birthed. It is for the higher level, more seasoned entrepreneur who's already working with clients, already has an offer. They're growing to 6 figures or they're multi-6 figures, right? So this is a room of people who are doing well in their business, and they're at a certain level. It isn't even so much like, I don't even have an income requirement for it. Some masterminds have like an income requirement for them to join. I don't have an income requirement. It's more so, what is your energy? What is your mindset? Are you going out of your way to be like, I need to be in that room. I need to be in that room and I'm going to make it happen. That is the type of person that I'm attracting into that space, right? So when you're thinking about launching, this is the mindset we need to have. And when you have this mindset, thoughts like, I need to follow a launch formula, I need to quote unquote do it right, I need to quote unquote follow the rules, those thoughts just go out the window. All right. They're not even like within the vicinity. I mean, sure, we can still have our doubts and our limiting beliefs. We're human beings, right? It's not going to be perfect. We are learning and growing every day. But overall, when you are so in, like, you're so in a deep understanding of what launching is and why you're doing it, not just because everyone else is launching, so maybe I should launch. Oh, I want to make more money, so maybe I should launch. Oh, I saw someone do it this way, so maybe I should follow them, right? That's not that's not the mindset you want to go into launching with, right? You want to be clear on, this is my movement. This is my vision. This is what I want to create. This is my product suite that I'm building out. Even if you don't have all those offers available, you want to at least be thinking about, what am I creating next? What is that next stepping stone in my product suite? So you ideally should have a low ticket, mid ticket, and high ticket. For the longest time, like, I don't actually have a quote unquote low ticket evergreen offer that anyone can join at any point, right? I'm thinking about building a low ticket membership at some point. Like, that's on my radar. But for years now, it has just been a mid signature course and a higher ticket mastermind. And my low ticket offers have changed every month. I've done the Try Witch tournament. I have done multiple Telegram groups like May Metamorphosis. I did one in the beginning of the year, right? I've done all these different like low ticket masterclass. I just did the Turned On launch, right? I've done so many different low ticket offers that will feed into my mid and my high, but I don't have one that is just recurring, available, evergreen, right? Eventually I will. So that's just an example of how a product suite can look, right? Another way a product suite can look is you can have your one-on-ones and then you just do free masterclasses, because maybe you do them free because you're really building visibility and exposure for your community, and you want that barrier to be as low as possible for people to just enter, right? So especially if you're building out your audience, if you are a newer coach, if you are someone who's just really looking to be visible and be seen and get in front of more people, connect with people, collaborate with people, get people in through the door, I highly recommend free classes and free events. Up until this year, since 2020, I have done free events, if not once, twice a month, every single month. So that's like, I can't do math in my head. You can do it on your own. I'm not a numbers person, but think about it. Since 2020, I've been doing free events and classes, building my audience, getting in front of people, right? This is the first year I've started doing more low ticket stuff. All right. And that's really helped me get in front of the people that I want in my audience, that I want in my community, right? So let's say you're a little bit more of a seasoned coach. You've already been working with clients for a while. Maybe it's been like a year, 2 years. You have your offer suite, you have a couple of offers, and you want to go into launching with a mindset of scaling to like mid to high multi six figures. Okay. So if you're in that category, then thinking about different types of events, maybe still doing some free so that you can connect with people and still have that visibility, but then maybe focusing more so on like lower tickets, on the lower end of offers, getting people in through the door, really over delivering inside of your low ticket, and then having them point to your mid and high ticket, offers. And then what you do at this point, if you're already a seasoned coach, if you already have a signature course or program, it could even be a group program. It doesn't have to be a course, right? So let's just say you've got a group course and then you've got one-on-ones, or you've got a group program and you've got one-on-ones. So maybe the group program is at 6 months at a time. So you just do launches every 6 months. And then maybe in between you have a wait list going, right? So you have like 2 big launches every year for your 6-month program. And then in the meantime, maybe people can funnel into your one-on-ones as long as you have spots available, right? So you can see how throughout the year you are doing these launches for the 6-month program. And then you're also doing launches for your one-on-one program. And then if you decide to do some like mini, 6-week things here and there, like either a mini mind or some type of accelerator or a boot camp or an incubator, right? Those are things that are kind of like quick and go deep, right? Then you can do that and sprinkle that in throughout the year wherever it feels good, right? Or even like mini courses. That's something that I've really enjoyed doing as well, is like instead of mini minds, which I like that as well. I love doing like a mini course where I get to teach something something for a couple of weeks live. I get to coach my students on it. And then afterwards, sometimes I'll let them actually apply that credit into my group program, into my course, right? Or into my mastermind, depending on what it is that is alive for me to sell, or is the time period for me to sell at that point. So there are so many different ways of launching, and there are so many ways of launching different offers. So that is why we can't look at launching as I have to follow this one beautiful, perfect launch formula to a T in order to see results, because the way that you launch a low ticket masterclass, or let's say a low ticket challenge, maybe you're doing a challenge for $20, right? And it's like a month-long challenge or a 2-week challenge. The way that you launch that, and maybe that's even a part of your launch process for a higher ticket program, it's going to look different than when you actually do launch your higher ticket program. Or if you're just doing a mini course, it's just the mini course, it's 6 weeks. The way that you launch that might be different than the way you launch your one-on-ones, right? You also have to think about the capacity, the container energetically that you are holding for each one of these different offers, right? So the way that you launch, let's just say your mastermind, might be different than the way that you launch a master class, because they're entering different containers. One of them is maybe just a one-time master class, right? Versus a mastermind, like my mastermind is a year, right? So you're going to be in there with me for an entire year together. This is work where we go really, really, really deep. Eyes and ears in your business. We have such close proximity. That's like true mentorship in my world, right? We just had a call yesterday where one of my clients, she's navigating transitioning from being a health coach into a manifestation coach, right? And now she's navigating, okay, how do I talk about my program in a way where like it's not very tangible? It's not like a business coach where you can say, hey, I'm going to help you get to 6 figures or whatever it is. So we coach on her beliefs and really stepping into her identity. And then there I am masterminding with everyone, and they're like, oh, well, maybe you can try that. Okay, here's what I'm seeing for you. Here's my experience with this. So everyone's jumping in to offer support. And at the end, she was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, I feel so good about this, right? And I was like, what if you tried this? And she's like, oh my God, I didn't even think I was ready for that. And I'm like, you are so fucking ready for that. I was like, this is where I see you. I see you up here, right? And what I do with my coaching is I see my clients so big that they have to evolve and grow into seeing their identity to match how I see them. Because I'm like, you're so ready for this. You can do this, right? It's like when a client is not wanting to raise their prices, or they're feeling scared about raising their prices. And I'm like, this is where I see you. This is where I see your business and your movement going. This is why it's so important to work with a mentor, because we only see ourselves like, we only see a percentage of who we really are. But a mentor sees us in all of our glory, in all the things we've created. We have so many blind spots. It's crazy. So when you work with someone and you're in their space, you are in their container, right? It's such a time collapsing experience, right? So let's talk a little bit about a launch that might look different, because really what I want everyone to walk away with from this live, this replay, is the ability to look at each launch for each offer in its own unique way. So it's not just like, oh, I had one launch and it went really well. Now I'm just going to replicate and rinse and repeat this process for all my launches moving forward. It doesn't work like that either. You have to create a launch process that works for each of your individual offers. And it might look similar, like you might do it the same way. Like I launched pretty much each of my offers in a bit of a similar way, but here are the things I switch up, right? I always like to do some type of launch event, but the type of event I do varies from the type of offer I'm launching. So for example, if I'm launching my mastermind, Magic Mind, this is very much live calls, coaching, mentorship, supporting you, guiding you, feeling into my coaching style. Am I the right coach for you? Do you vibe with my energy and my ways of teaching sales, heart-centered sales, sovereign leadership, right? None of the manipulative, like bro marketing, bro sales, one size fits all types of things. This is very custom to your energy. I look into you, your personality, your human design, right? Deeply understanding who you are as a leader, as an entrepreneur, so that I can best coach and guide you, right? I'm looking at your energetics and your strategy and your product suite and each of your offers. One of the first things we do is we clean up your product suite and we create a vision for what we're going to do moving forward, right? So I'm very clear on exactly what my clients are selling, exactly where they want to go, and what we're working on in order to get them there, the vehicle that's going to get them to where they want to be. So if that's what I know my mastermind consists of, and it also consists of being in a group with other people, the way I might launch my mastermind, which I've done this many times before, is live group coaching calls where maybe I do a little bit of training and then I end with coaching. So anyone who's getting coached by me in that week, they get an experience, a little dose of what it might be like to be in a mastermind with me, right? And to feel what it might be like to be on that Zoom call with me, getting coached by me. And if they receive that coaching and they're like, oh my gosh, this is it. I want to work with Tiffany. I want to be inside her container. Then it's so much easier to make that decision to jump into a mastermind, especially if it's something that's like a year long, close proximity. You really want to make sure that you're an aligned fit. And even then, they still have to apply and be accepted into the container. It's not like just anyone can join and there's a checkout page for it. You have to submit an application. Me and my team have to review the application to make sure that you're a good fit for this container, mainly energetically and identity wise, and being open, right? If someone's looking for me to save them, if someone is looking for me to tell them what to do, right? This is very much a mastermind where you are tapping into your own magic, your own guidance. I'm not here to be the savior, right? So really looking for multiple things. Are they going to be able to collaborate and mastermind with the other people in that room, in the group together? That's also an important factor I look for inside Magic Mind, right? So anyway, that's how I might launch the mastermind. And I might do a longer launch because it's a longer container, right? People might need a little bit more time to invest, especially if they're deciding to pay in full, which right now is at 13K. So if they're wanting to put together, okay, 13K, let me do this, let me get this money together. Or even if they're making that first payment, which is $1,200, right? Like that's something that they want to be able to, maybe talk about. Maybe we go back and forth in the DMs a little bit. If they need to jump on a call with me, I'm also open to doing that for my mastermind. And so maybe we schedule and we have time for the call, right? And we have enough time to go through the launch event so that they feel comfortable investing and applying and being a part of the container. So if it's a longer term container, like 6 months to a year, I like to be able to give a longer launch period so that they can make that decision, but making sure there's still a clear deadline by when the decision needs to be made, right? Okay. So that's the mastermind. All right. That's the mastermind. Let's talk about a lower ticket mini course and how you can remix and restyle the launching concepts. Like there are foundational concepts to launching. If you don't know what those phases are, watch yesterday's live. I'm also going to be sharing more about that in depth with what is coming. So next week, keep your eyes peeled on my stories, keep your eyes peeled on my Instagram in general. Next week, I am announcing a really special, really one of a kind, never before seen, brand new offer that is coming to all of you. And it's good. It's so exciting because this is something that I've been asked to create so many times. This is something my clients have been asking for. This is what my community has been asking for. This is what I have been desiring to create for so long on my own. And it just has not been the divine timing for it, to be honest. And I've been taking notes. I have been studying my clients, been taking note of all of the conversation and coaching around it. So now I'm creating this comprehensive deep dive, yet very simple, easy to follow. What I said in the beginning of this live is I've built $1 million business, keeping things really simple, no crazy funnels, nothing that all the business people say, oh, you have to have this. You have to have this type of program, this type of software. You got to be tracking your KPIs. You need to have spreadsheets on all of this. I don't have any of that. I don't have any of that. I don't run ads, right? Most of the time I don't offer sales calls. I chat in the DMs. I'm all about magnetic energy. I'm all about, sovereign leadership, letting my clients make their decisions and come to me. Not once have I DM'd a client. Not once have I cold DM'd someone that I don't know. If it's someone that's maybe worked with me in some of my offers and I'm feeling into their energy and I'm like, oh, I'd love for them to be a part of this container, right? I might intuitively reach out, but I'm not sending cold DMs to people that I don't know. Why? Because I believe in my marketing and my energy and my magnetism so deeply that I just know the right people will be magnetized to my spaces, right? And the $1 million of sales revenue that I've created since 2020 until now, I do not have nothing that I wouldn't be able to show you and be like, this works this way. 1, 2, 3, simple team. I have one online business manager and I have one accountant who also helps with taxes, bookkeeping. I write all of my own copy and I keep it really simple. And I always am thinking about my coaching, my clients. Content is extremely easy. I do not have a copywriter and nobody writes copy for me. I do not run any ads. I don't have any complicated funnels or tactics that I do in my business that I cannot just easily explain to you. I have a podcast. I show up on live. I chat with people in the DMs. I don't have a sales team. Some companies have like a sales team that does sales calls for them. I don't think I will ever feel aligned to that. And so I want people to know and look at the way I do business and be like, oh, it can be that simple. It can be so easy, right? Sometimes I'll have conversations. I've been in a lot of different business spaces. I've been in like the very flowy, feminine containers and community. I've been in the more, very like masculine, very like tactics and strategies and funnels and like, what is your like 50-step process for this thing, right? Like just a lot more. And then some of it is more like male dominated, right? And people will be like, how did you create that? What exactly did you do, right? And then when I go into the energetics and the identity and the belief work and the nervous system regulation, and I talk about manifestation, right? Like I've been in spaces where people are literally like rolling their eyes. They're like kind of, they're making these kind of like cute backhanded comments. And I'm like, all right, it is what it is, right? If they don't fully grasp it, that's okay. That is okay. And I've also seen people who have been that way, not necessarily to me directly, and not mean about it, but they're just completely different. And I've seen them transition into create, because what it is when I started my business, I was so in my like deep masculine, right? Just like hardworking, working all the time, sacrificing. That's all I knew about business, right? So I was working very hard. I was trying to learn all the strategies. I was trying to do all the things. There was a lot of do, right? And then I was like, okay, this is not working for me. I'm burning myself out. This is not the way I want to do it. I don't want to follow a formula. I don't want to be told what to do. So I swung to the other end of the pendulum where I was super flowy. I was resting all the time. I was taking naps all the time, right? Which there's nothing wrong with taking naps. I love me a good nap. Love it, right? But then I was like, wait, I'm not really getting anything done and I'm not really making any money. And oh my God, this is a little bit crazy. crazy. Like it feels messy, right? And then what happened was I ended up creating a beautiful sacred union between my sacred masculine and my divine feminine. And that, I think, is really what launches embody. Launches are a true embodiment of the masculine. You've got to put out the output. You've got to tell people what's going on. You've got to do the messaging. You've got to do the selling. You've got to let people know what your offer is. All right. We can't just telepathically communicate to our community, but you also need that space and time to lean back and receive and open and let people come to you. Right? This is why sometimes, like when we go to bed, we wake up to new signups, because the only time we're allowing our body to rest is at night when we're sleeping. So that's when you're an open channel to receive, because all day you're like, what do I need to do more of? I need to post more. I need to send another email. But then when you finally go to sleep, the universe is like, thank fucking God. Now we can send through the clients who have been wanting to enter, but they're like, I don't know, where is there space to enter? Because you're literally just like boom, 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 right? Like you have to be able to like put out the output, do your thing, sell hard, and then lean back and rest and receive and open yourself. Launches are a really great embodiment of that. And if you have not mastered that yet, which it takes multiple launches. And I would say, like, even though I do believe that I am an expert at this and I teach this and I help my students with this, I still have a lot to learn when it comes to sales and launching and entrepreneurship in general. This is a lifelong journey, right? And the moment I say that I know it all is the moment that I experience my downfall, truly. This goes for all of us, right? So being in that state of I'm ever evolving, I am constantly growing, I'm constantly going through deaths and rebirths, right? And I'm open to new ways of doing things as well. So being able to acknowledge that, I think, is really powerful. So another thing that you want to think about when it comes to your custom way of launching is also your lifestyle and your schedule. All right. I talked about this a little bit. I think it was the first live, where if you've got 2 kids at home, or you're a stay-at-home mom, right? Or you are someone who has a full-time job, or maybe you've got 2 jobs or 3 jobs. I used to work 3 part-time like side hustles, and then I would go to school, and then I was single mom, right? So I'd take care of my daughter, and it would feel so like I would pay for babysitting, and I would feel like I would just like break even from the money that I was making from my job and all these things. But anyway, that was my life back then, right? So if I was also launching back then, which I launched in a bit of a different way when I first started my business. And I'd also just been let go from my day job. So I had a little bit more time. It was also COVID. So I was like locked in my house, which I think served me in some ways and didn't serve me in other ways, but that's beside the point. You want to look at your lifestyle and your schedule and your available time capacity. Okay. You want to be honest, and you want to really understand where you can give in your business. And you want to be able to identify what are the times, the time frames, the energy output that you can really give to this experience. It is an experience. It is a journey, right? And so if you are someone who, and it isn't just launching, it's not just the process of launching, it's the program. So if you are someone who's got 1 kid or 2 kids, right? Or plus, right? That takes up your time. It also takes up mental capacity, right? You're thinking about, oh, what do they need? I have to pack their lunches. I have to pick them up from school. Now they have this activity. I have to send them here. Now I have to pick them up. Okay, now they're hungry. Now I have to be cooking food. You don't have a lot of space, like open spaciousness. And you can also, of course, like get support, get help, right? And create that. But in general, if you have kids, you're a busier person than a lot of other people. So you want to take that into account when you're creating your programs. So maybe what helps is you have a 6-month program, but you meet bi-weekly. Or you have a 6-week program and you meet weekly, but then there's like a break in between the next program starting. So it's not just like weekly forever, it's just weekly for these 6 weeks. And then you can create something afterwards, or you can give yourself a break and then launch that same program again, but with different students, right? So there are so many options. You can even, I've seen more and more coaches do this where one of your offers is just like Voxer coaching or Telegram coaching, where it's just you're sending voice notes back and forth. And of course you have to have some parameters around this, like Monday to Friday, maybe 9 to 5 p.m. They can send voice notes and you'll respond within 24 hours or something like that, right? Where you can be able to offer coaching, but you don't have to be sitting and jumping on calls. So you can respond maybe when your kid's sleeping or in between jobs if you're working a job. Like there are so many ways that you can do this, and really make sure that your program is aligned to your lifestyle. And so if you're launching and you do have a program that is a little bit more high touch, right, for a shorter amount of time. So that's like an incubator, that's like a, what else would you call it? Like an accelerator type of program, like 8-week accelerator or something like that, right? Then maybe you would launch in the way that would really exemplify that type of container. Just like I gave the example of if I'm launching my mastermind and it's a lot of live calls and coaching, my launch event to get people in through the door so I can sell to them will be some type of masterclass or live calls and live coaching, right? Because I want to be able to give them a taste of what they're getting inside that program. So if it's free to join a week of coaching with me and they get so much value that they're like, I need to be inside Magic Mind, then that is a perfect lead-in for the right people who are like, yeah, I absolutely need to be a part of this, okay? So those are some ways that you can do it differently. Now, I really want you to look at this and be like, wow, okay, so it is really clear that I do not have to follow a perfect launch formula, right? And the whole idea of this perfect launch formula thing is that like people have created formulas that work for their energy, their offering, their lifestyle, their product suite, their business, their vision. So when you try to replicate that, but you know, and you're looking at someone who maybe doesn't have kids, but you do have kids, or this is someone who's launching a all access pass, but you're selling your one-on-ones. It's not conducive. It's not aligned, right? It's not meant for you. So you have to create a launch process that works specifically for your energy, your vision, your offer, your product suite, and what you are creating, which is, again, it's going to take a little bit of experimentation. It's going to take a little bit of evaluation, right? It's going to take the ability to really test and play and see what works for you, right? Because if you're just copying and pasting someone's formula who's launching a mastermind, but you're launching one-on-ones, right? Or if you're launching a mini course and you're taking someone who's launching their, year-long group program, it's going to look very different, right? Also, this person might be let's just say they're a manifestor, right? So they're very good at like initiating energy and showing up and dictating energy, but maybe you are a projector. So your energy works a little bit differently, right? And you have to honor that. And there might be different strengths that they have in their business that are different than yours, right? Maybe they really enjoy live launching and doing lives and masterclasses and video, right? And maybe you're someone who's very proficient with your words. So you spend time creating more posts and captions. And yesterday we talked a lot about different types of learners. So you're not just speaking to one type of person in your audience. You want to make sure that you are speaking to multiple different types of people so that you're not just selling to the person who's very auditory and just, doing podcasts or speaking. You're also doing something where, it's interactive on your stories. You're writing something out in your captions so they can read it, right? You are speaking for the people who are auditory, right? You have, something that people can look at for people who are more visual and interactive. They want to look at something. They want to feel into something. If you're just posting captions to your feed and calling that a launch, right? Like that's not it's not serving the multiple people who want to buy from you, right? And not only that, you also want to make sure that this is aligning to the different phases of your launch as well, right? So you want to make sure that when you are creating your launch, that you are looking at the foundational phases, and then you're customizing, creating, building something that aligns to you. So for example, I'm currently teasing my program that I'm launching next week, right? And what I'm doing right now is I am creating content that is education focused. It's also teasing. It's also building that excitement, right? And at the same time, I'm speaking to multiple different types of people. Like if you even just go to my stories right now, I have visuals, I have written out, I'm also speaking to the stories, right? So even if someone has their volume all the way down on my stories, which most people watch stories with their volume all the way down, they can tap through and in captions, not long text that fills up the whole screen that people are just their eyes are glazing over and they're like, oh my God, I'm not even gonna read that, right? You wanna have it in a small, succinct caption so that when people are tapping through, and then there's a reason for them to tap to the next slide, right? It isn't just like one story here. Okay, I see some people when they're in launch and to their stories, which is the best way to sell. I honestly believe that selling on your stories, most of my $1 million of revenue literally has come from my stories, not even just Instagram stories. But sometimes I see someone in launch and all they're doing is like they've posted something to their feed and then they're posting that feed thing to their story. And that's it. They're not going, hey everyone, happy Tuesday. All right, so we're currently in launch for this program. Here's why you need to be inside and the deadline is Friday, right? And you have it in a caption. You're engaging. There's a poll, right? You're showing up every single day. You're in there. You're in the live, right? It's like sometimes when someone's in launch and I go to their feed or I go to their stories, I'm like, wait, are they even still offering this program? Right? They're not talking about it, or it's like the mid-launch slump where you've had maybe like a couple people sign up, but then it's kind of dipping because it's in the middle of the launch. It's just, maybe it's not having as much momentum as you desired. And then people just kind of drop off. No, that's the time where people are still watching you and they want to see you continue to show up and bring your energy back up, create that momentum, source your own energy, source your own magnetism, right? These are all things when it comes to launching that we have to take into consideration. It is not enough to just post a couple stories. We have to be talking about it in multiple different angles, which is yesterday's a great live to listen to about the different phases of a launch and how to create different content based on what phase you're in. If you are creating content for the teasing phase in the very beginning of your launch, it's gonna be very different than that final push content before doors close at the end of your launch. And then what you do in the middle, right? You wanna make sure that that content differentiates from one another. So you're not just saying the same thing over and over and over, or you just have this carousel post that you've shared to your feed and you just keep sharing it to your stories. There needs to be an intentional storyline and phases that people watch you go through during your launch, from the pre-work before you even start posting on the front end. You're working on planning in the back end. This is when you work with your team, you get your graphics created, you batch some of your content, you decide all of your times and deadlines, you create the onboarding for your clients, right? So that way, when you get to the teasing phase, you're not still creating all of the stuff in the back end, and then hopefully you're not getting to cart open and still creating all that stuff in the back end. That's where I see a lot of people go wrong, is you're smushing all these phases into 1 week and then you're feeling overwhelmed and wondering why people aren't buying, because you haven't warmed up your audience. You haven't actively spoken about this program, all of the angles that you can talk about it with. You're not thinking about the person who's on the verge of saying yes, and they just need to hear one more thing in order for them to be like, fuck it, I'm in, right? You're not thinking about all those little micro thoughts that even after someone said yes, but now they're having some hesitation because Y, X, Y, Z. Now that's what you're speaking to during cart open of a launch, right? These are all launch strategy tactics that are so important in your content and that are different for every single offer, every single vision and movement that pertains to each individual launcher, each student, each person. That is why you cannot just follow a launch formula to a T. You have to look at the offer. Is it low, mid, or high? Who are you speaking to? What are your best clients, right? In what ways are you launching? Are you doing the launch event? What is the launch event? Is it aligned to the container? Just like the example I gave earlier. If I'm launching my mastermind, which is live calls, deep coaching, close proximity, I might be doing, which I've done many times, a week of live coaching with anyone who wants to come and get coached by me so they can experience coaching and then jump into my mastermind. Now, I probably would not do that if it was a small mini course, right? I might have fun with it. I might do a challenge with it, right? I might do a month-long event. I might do something specific that pertains to the mini course, that theme, gamifying it, having more fun. I can still definitely do that with my mastermind, but I want people to feel into the energy of the container, and I might have a longer launch for the mastermind because my mastermind is a year long. But I can do a shorter little launch if I'm launching a mini course, because that mini course is probably going to be maybe a month, maybe 2 months, right? It's going to be a bit of a smaller experience with me. So these are all things to take into consideration along with your schedule, your lifestyle, the strategy, and then what we talked about in the beginning, which is your overall product suite. We're not just launching for the sake of launching. We're not just launching for fun. Oh, then one program here, one program there, one program there. What are your main signature offers? And then what are the little offers you're sprinkling throughout the year that lead into these bigger offers? You might have one-on-one and you might have a signature course, or you might have one-on-ones and a program, or you might have a mastermind and a mid-ticket course, right? So those don't change. Those are there. They're solid. They're a part of your product suite. Okay. These are the offers that are the main offers that you're selling. Now, all these little mini offers, launch events, these all ascend people into your higher, mid, and high ticket offers. All right. So when you're in a launch, you really want to keep that trajectory in mind so that you know who you're speaking to, you know what are you selling them into afterwards, and how can you sprinkle why that container is the best container for them while they're inside whatever mini offer, low ticket offer, masterclass, or event that they're in now. All right. So launching is not just one great launch. Launching is thinking about it from a zoomed out perspective, a way of showing up that really allows you to be the best, take the best data from your launches in order to keep learning and compounding throughout the course of your business. All right. Like my first launch did not get me nearly the same results that my launches have this year. Why? Because this year it wasn't just me launching a new program from scratch. It is I've learned all these things throughout the years of launching that I am now embodying in my launches. Right? It's not about just one great launch one time. It is about how these launches can compound all the results, all the data, all the evaluation, extracting that information, right? Experimenting, playing, learning. Oh, I like this. I don't like this. Here's how my energy works. Here's how it doesn't work. Here's how I want to speak to my clients. Here's who my clients are. Here's how I launch this offer versus that offer. You take all that data and your launches just get better and better and better if you are paying attention to these things. All right, so I am going to leave it at that for today. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I have something coming next week that I will be announcing full details for early next week, so I'm very excited. Stay tuned on stories. I'm going to be sharing more information about this. If you've been wanting to work together, if you've been wanting to, if you're, whether it's like your first couple launches or you've been launching for a while and you're like, I'm not getting getting the results I desire with launches, or launching really freaks me out. I'm not sure what to do, or I've been burnt in the past. I have launched trauma. It didn't go the way I wanted and now I'm scared to launch again, right? Or I've heard so many stories about launching and I don't even know where to start, right? But you want 6 figures a year, multi 6 figures a year in your business. Launching gets to be simple, fun, gamified, and is such an incredible and important way of gathering your warmest, hottest, most aligned soulmate clients into a room to sell to them. And when done correctly meaning aligned to you and your energy and your offer, you can have infinite results with just one launch. Meaning one launch can bring in $20,000, $50,000, $70,000, $100,000, multiple 6 figures just from one launch when you learn how to align it to your energy. More coming soon on that. Stay tuned on my stories to find out all the details and figure out how we can work together to create your best launches ever. All right.